for your support as always. Okay, guys, happy Monday. Welcome to another week of VCTV. So we opened the session today with a different set of speakers, different topic. Firstly, I just wish to ask you guys, like everybody, I hope everyone had a good weekend, like, good rest, well rest. And so we are back, with full energy on a Monday to share the insights with our viewers, founders, other investors, and people generally. So today we have a mix of speakers, some of our regular speakers on my panel and Carl's panel, and some are new for me for today's session. So before we dive deep into today's topic, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the Regional Director of LATOKEN. I'm based here in Singapore. I host VCTV, which is the Venture Capital TV from LATOKEN, every day, Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. Singapore, without fail. So the whole idea about VCTV sort of emerged was born during the pandemic, actually. So we used to host the Blockchain Economic Forum roadshows all over the world. And because of coronavirus pandemic, that sort of stopped. So we moved everything online. So this VCTV was born during pandemic 2020. So yeah, so that's where we are. The whole purpose and goal of VCTV is to connect people. Could be investors, founders, general audience looking to enrich their knowledge on different topics, because we cover different topics. I mean, every day is a different topic on Asia, on US time zones. So today's topic, as we start the week on a Monday, is about e-commerce, is about consumer, is about retail. We would like to know from you, because you are the subject matter expert on those fields, what's happening with this industry, what are the trends, or what's happening with the investments, what's happening with the founders, what's happening with the startups. So that's why we've got a very sort of diversified panel today as well. We got people from France, people from Dubai, Israel, and Europe. So I am based here in Singapore. So since Asia, I'm going to start with Jennifer. Firstly, Jennifer, welcome back to VCTV. How was your weekend?
Thank you, Sonny. My weekend was brilliant. Thanks very much. Yes, relaxing as much as I could. Yes.
And thank you and welcome back. Can you please help introduce yourself to our viewers?
I'm Jennifer Arkhurst. I'm a corporate and commercial lawyer in the UAE. I have my own law firm, and one of the areas that I specialize in is helping startups find funding and connecting them with investors. That is what I do. I've been a lawyer for the last 21 years, UK qualified, and I practice both in the UK as well as in the UAE.
Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer, for that introduction. So next I have Roy. Hi, Roy. Welcome back.
Thank you.
How was your weekend?
It was very well, Sonny. We met only on Friday, but since then it was very relaxing and restful. Thank you.
That's what we like to hear. Yeah. Please introduce yourself to the speakers, to the audience.
So I'm Roy Soreski. I have over 23 years of experience in creating startups, entrepreneurships, marketing technology, and recently in early 2017, we released a new startup called Tweak, which is all about personalization, mainly in the e-commerce industry. So that's what we currently do. Aside from that, there's the agency dealing with marketing technology and so forth. So whatever is relevant for our discussion.
Awesome, fantastic, and welcome back. We love your insights. Next, I have Hugo. Hugo, hi, how are you? Welcome back as well to VCTV. How was your week?
How are you guys? Thank you for this new session. It's a great pleasure again. Here, the weather is really bad, but we spent a really good weekend anyway. So just to make a wrap up, I'm the CEO of BC Impact. We are doing consultancy for a startup and services for VC funds, and we are also investing.
Okay, fantastic, and welcome to VCTV. We're going to hear more insights coming for you as well. And last but not least, I have a new speaker on my Asia panel, but he's not new to VCTV. Bernard, hi Bernard, welcome to VCTV Asia. How are you? How was your weekend?
Hi Sunny. The weekend was rainy and quiet, but that's fine. And we are under confinement in France again, so well, part confinement, so that's quiet. In terms of activity, I have a dual role here. One is I'm one of the founders, board members of venture capital funds based in Paris. And second, I also happen to run a logistics company. That's my kind of part-time job. We have a number of e-commerce startups or grown-ups as customers, so that gives a good point of view for what's going on in e-commerce right now, indeed, I hope.
Well, excellent. Yes, we'd love to hear all those insights from various parts of the world, coming from various people, speakers, and founders as well. Great. So we are all set with introductions. Please keep it two-way discussion. Keep it, sort of interactive. We would like to make it fun, engaging as well. So yeah. So it's about e-commerce. It's about retail. It's about consumer today. So coronavirus, as we know, has accelerated many things, including e-commerce, by nearly 5 years. So as the pandemic has reshaped life, as we know, so the biggest shift has been in the trends in e-commerce. So that's what we would like to know from our speakers today. E-commerce is projected to grow by some little stats about e-commerce. E-commerce is projected to grow nearly 20% year on year in 2020. This growth was even more pronounced at the beginning of the pandemic, with US retail e-commerce up to 44.5% year on year in Q2 this year. Also in Q2, Walmart's e-commerce sales were up by 97% year on year, and Target grew its small day fulfillment services by 273%. That's a huge number. The top categories consumers have gravitated towards the shift are alcohol, home improvement materials, and groceries, up to 16%, 14%, 12%, with apparel seeing significant declines. So this is what's happening. I mean, this is obviously my stats that I want to start off this session with. We're going to go around and ask everybody about their insights on the trends. Jennifer, I would like to start with you first. What do you see happening in the space? Because you come from the investment background, so yeah, over to you.
Well, in terms of the retail space, I think from what I see, there are lots of brick and mortar businesses going to the wall simply because they weren't ready. Well, nobody was ready for the pandemic, and it happened so fast. And the more the public and the consumers keep away from shopping malls, the more you see the growth in e-commerce. But unfortunately, with regards to a lot of the smaller brick and mortar businesses, they weren't prepared because they didn't have the online channels that the bigger brands have. And now that we have the pandemic, they don't even have the investments or the money to actually pivot very quickly. So that is what is happening in that space. And there's talk about it would be good if the governments across the board in different countries have an online platform to support the small retailers. So they have a platform of their own. Perhaps they could join by in the form of a subscription, but right now that is not there. So the theme is that you either pivot quickly and use technology to do that, or you file for bankruptcy. So that is what is happening right now.
Absolutely.
There's more use of online and e-commerce in terms of trading, and the customers don't particularly care about the bigger luxury brands and apparel and accessories anymore. What they're focusing on is cheaper brands, affordable products, and they're focusing on necessities. That is the theme. And so for brands and companies that cannot pivot very quickly, they're finding themselves in serious problems. That's what's happening in this region.
Absolutely. I think it's happening everywhere globally. It's the necessity that keeps us, people are just looking for bare minimum right now. I mean, as you rightly said. Thank you, Jennifer. Next, I have Roy. Hi, Roy. What's your insights about the trends in the industry?
So it seems, as you said in your opening speech, that the e-commerce is spiking, and that's true. I mean, Shopify have tripled. Wix stores has emerged, and Wix is growing, and PrestaShop, BigCommerce, they're all spiking right now due to the fact we discussed it on both previous sessions that the SMBs are now are now entering the online arena. All the retailers who had to close their actual physical offline stores and find new markets are now entering the online arena. And all these platforms and marketplaces that offer plug-and-play solutions for retailers are spiking. So this also comes with no experience, no expertise in how to do online marketing, how to do conversion optimization, and so forth. So these changes are bringing new players into the game that have no idea about online marketing. And then again, the budgets are dropping because the veteran, the existing players are dropping their online marketing budgets. So it seems that the industry is going towards a shift that is about offering more advanced tools that are easier to consume, easier to use, plug-and-play solutions for SMBs. While simultaneously we're seeing markets shifting online. And we mentioned also in the previous sessions that this pandemic has enabled plenty of companies to offer their services for free. You've noticed that plenty of SaaS companies do that. They say, okay, have a go at our trial, at our enterprise solution for free, just for the pandemic period. You'll see how it works for you, and then we can take it up from there. So plenty of things are changing in terms of how you market online services as well. And we'll probably get deeper into that during our session.
Absolutely. Even I'm getting emails about booking my hotels for next year at a very low fee. So yeah, thanks for that, Roy. Next I have Hugo. Over to you, Hugo.
Yeah, thank you. I really like the presentation of Roy, and I think and Jennifer too. I think it's all about end consumer first. And as I already clearly explained, the COVID transformed everything. The buyer persona and physical shop, brick and mortar, is completely not dead. I think it's not dead, but I think there is a transformation that is needed for that. Also, you have newcomers that are going to help to sustain or to improve the customer experience through the broader, right, online. So we boost the online, but also, as you just said, there is a drop of consumption in terms of luxurious. When it's too expensive, people is gonna stop. They're gonna stay away about that because now they tighten the belt. Now a lot of people are losing their money, but they still need to buy. So a lot of things need to be changed in terms of strategy, how to reach the people, the end users, I might say the end consumer, and even for the brick and mortar. In our company, we define 3 axes in our strategy. The first is, as I said, on the browser experience, all the tools that can be really interesting, the play and play, and you can improve the customer experience and user experience. The second level is, the kind of solution, the kind of product, new product that can sustain the retail. And the third one is the brick and mortar. We still believe that the brick and mortar need help. And of course, it's dropping, but there are still solutions to adapt with the COVID. Such an example, you can find a kind of object, you get in, but you respect the distance and your scan, and a system an AI platform can measure your shape and interact with you. So we reduce completely the physical experience, you save time, and you respect the distance. There are many, I think there is many new players also on the brick and mortar side. They're going to help the retailer, the commerce, the true merchant, I might say, also to survive, because it's a lot of investment on this side. And some startups try to help this, I may say, old-fashioned way to sell product. That's
Okay. Thank you, Hugo, for that, for those insights. Really helpful. So last, I'd like to move to Bernard. Hi, Bernard. What's your insights about the global trends?
Okay, I'll speak for the area where I'm a bit familiar, which is continental Europe. England is a subject in itself with the Brexit. That's where they should feel the pinch very quickly. Here what we see is e-commerce is going up, but not as high as in other regions like the US probably, mostly because there are some hurdles or some hurdles to overcome. One is transportation in the first place and the availability of transportation. Second is congestion in the cities, in the main cities. And you need to say that in the other end, on the other directions, most municipalities are holding back on the increase of transportation because most green mayors don't like trucks in their cities. So, and there are no viable alternatives so far. Maybe I have some exception to give you is that Paris now, if you want to deliver, let's say a box, you can have clean transportation, green transportation at the same price as regular transportation. So that's a big shift because consumers, what we see definitely, consumers are willing to go green as long as the price does not increase. So it's only starting today, and that's where the second trend that we also see is a number of merchants which are going, let's say, autonomous in their approach. I mean, going to Shopify, PrestaShop, and to get out of Amazon. So Amazon is still the behemoth that we all know, but many, let's say, mid-sized merchants, online merchants, which have come a long way from their initial experience, now they're going to get back control of their e-commerce. And last, what we see over here is that mid-market players, especially the ones which have not digitalized early enough, they are in big trouble. So we see activity polarizing to the two extremities. Cheap is always doing well, and luxury is still doing well.
Oh, that's great to know. Luxury is still doing good. Thank you so much, Bernard, coming from Europe, those insights. I mean, excluding UK, as you said, UK is again.
Slightly different, as usual.
Thank you so much. And as you rightly said, the purpose moves to the forefront. It's about creating that impact as well, besides, making, margins.
One thing also sorry, I may abuse the time, but one thing also is that there are strong government support, there's strong financial government support. And what you can see is that a number of players leverage this financial support, first to survive, second to adapt. But you cannot discount the fact that some players which are, let's say, doomed, keep stay alive while being doomed anyway.
Great. Yeah, of course. I think governments obviously across the world have come together for this cause. Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to ask Jennifer, what are the recent sort of investments in the space that you've seen coming from the MENA region or the Middle East, and successful pivots, if you can share with our audience today?
Well, some of the pivots have been with regards to the luxury brands. You have the likes of Chanel and Burberry who pivoted very quickly into designing masks and gowns and laboratory equipment. And simply because what the pandemic is doing is it's not about your brand right now. It's about what people are going to remember what you did during this critical time. And so contributing to social causes has become, very prevalent. And this is the way in which some of the bigger brands can, maintain their good reputation as well as, keep that customer loyalty going. But some of pivots we've seen is, for example, cash is not used as much as it used to. Cash has moved away and given way to contactless payments. And the banks, for example, are designing business cards. Sorry, not business cards. They're designing bank cards, which facilitates less contact, or even you don't have to put in your PIN number anymore. You just tap and go. And supermarkets, particularly the grocery stores.
Jennifer, you there? So is it me or is it Jennifer? Okay, let's move to Roy while Jennifer is connecting back. Hi, Roy.
Hi.
So as a founder, what kind of challenges did you face beginning of this year? How did you pivot, if any? So what do you see as a founder? What are the challenges in this space that you can share?
Right. So first off, there's a quarantine everywhere. You're trying to plan an expo or an event, and even though you see a country is becoming green, by the time the event is actually happening, it shifts red. So obviously, we shifted all our marketing efforts to the online arena, and that replaced plenty of conservative marketing efforts. So as I mentioned, offering enterprise services for free for trial periods and so forth, but we're doing mainly webinars. We're working mainly on the marketplaces, as I mentioned, of the large platforms, whereas in the past we focused on enterprises. We used to fly over for deals. France, for example, is a good example, because we had a launch planned for November with a physical event in France. We're releasing our product there, and we've actually onboarded plenty of French clients such as L'Occitane and so forth, but this event has been cancelled, and we're now doing an online webinar for our official release with our French partner. So countries are shifting between green, red, and you can't really plan ahead when it comes to actual physical events or meetings. So we're doing plenty more webinars, but along with that, as I said, we moved to the marketplaces, and there we found a whole new blue ocean of potential clients that haven't been approached, that are new to this world, to the e-commerce world, and they're just waiting for someone to pick up the glove and tell them what it is they need to do in order to make it work for them, because they know nothing about online marketing. And they are the majority now. As funny as it is, the shift that has occurred over the past 6 months, not for no reason, have increased all these platforms we discussed, and Bernard has mentioned also PrestaShop. So these are quite major right now, and I think more and more SaaS companies will focus on them in the coming year, because this is where all the players are shifting to. So as part of our efforts, we're now working on plugins, applications, and everything we could possibly do in order to make our SaaS solutions or enterprise solutions more accessible and available to SMBs who have no idea how to operate an online platform or a marketing solution, but they do know how to click a plug and play solution and click add app. If that would be sufficient enough, then that's great. And this is what we're working on, and I'm pretty sure other companies are too. So mainly the shifts between physical and online.
Yeah, I mean, great points about SMBs and the plug and play solution that bringing to the table. I mean, this is going to be very, very useful to that segment of the business. So just a quick question. What's your thought about what's going to happen to the physical retail stores eventually?
Well, I'm not a prophet, but the way it seems now, plenty of them are bankrupting, and they're moving online. I have a brother who's an owner of a retail network in Spain, but he hasn't been doing any business for the past 6 months since the pandemic hit Spain, and now he's rethinking his strategy, and he's building a new brand to shift it online, and they're going to use the stores just to onboard members to their online clubs, so that they could tackle them over there with remarketing and retargeting. As I said, I'm not a prophet, but it seems this industry is kind of dying, and as Hugo mentioned, brick and mortar. So this is that. I'm seeing that in shared spaces as well. Smaller startups are escaping, they're fleeing the shared spaces we work, and they're moving to work from home remotely with Zoom, and that too requires adaptation, because it's not as efficient for a startup to work remotely from home on Zoom when you need to collaborate, when you need to alert bugs or whatever in real time. So I think everything is changing in that sense, and everyone will have to adapt. Where to? I could only guesstimate, and it seems that, again, the SMBs are going to be the new champion of 2021. They're going to spike probably more than any other enterprise we've had presence.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Roy. I really appreciate those comments. So Bernard, it's becoming very clear that store-based retailing has passed its zenith. So you're talking about direct D2C e-commerce. Can you explain a bit about that?
Just in the line of what Roy just said, it's the concept that you can have just a website, to an e-commerce website, and then you need just some fulfillment services, and with a strong marketing on Instagram or a similar type of network, then you can masses to flock on your website, and all you need is to have a good fulfillment platform which can deliver and can also handle the returns, which is one of the plagues of e-commerce, thanks to Germany, by the way. So that's a new trend, and many brands discover that they can do a lot of business from remote. And here I see, for instance, I have customers from Bali, from the US, from Argentina, from really diverse locations which have no direct physical presence in the country. That's the trend that we see. At the same time, I would like to make a comment. I hope that there will still be some real brick and mortar shops in the future, because the consumer experience, which has to be digital for sure, also needs to be physical in some way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we have to have a mix of both, but more digital, I guess. I mean, that's just my 2 cents. Thank you, Bernard, for that. Hugo, you were about to say something.
No, I agree with what Bernard said, because the brick and mortar have to exist. You know, you have the senior generation, they have to change their habit, right? Now I see many old people, now they're online to book all the stuff in the supermarket. This is new for me. Before, they used to take the car and go to the supermarket, and that's it, that's all. Now they're changing. Even these people, untapped people, are get in the digital stuff. So it's a tremendous market that's exploding, right? So that's what Roy said, and I agree with that. The thing is, brick and mortar need to exist and will survive. The thing is, I don't think the middle company or the small company is going to survive, because they already receive money from the government, but they will not be capable to pay back the money, because it's not enough, right? If you just make your operation at 10%, I'm just talking about the restaurant, the hotel, and so on. It's 10% of the occupation rate. It's not sufficient to survive. You know, you're gonna have trouble with your cash management. So the brick and mortar need a revolution too. They need certainly a revolution in terms of operation level, digital level, integrate more omni-channel strategy, as Bernard explained, I think, and of course a new way to attract physical buyer persona. And this is a huge, I think, for the brick and mortar side, it's a huge challenge, really huge challenge. I think it's easier in e-commerce because you have the plug and plays and the stuff like that. Even if you're going to have a new commerce and going to transform this, I think there is a lack of startup for the brick and mortars. And it's for me, it's as important as the online shop, because we can implement, it's the right time for me to implement a revolution for the brick and mortar too.
Great, yeah, I absolutely agree to your views, Hugo. Thank you so much. Well, almost 30 minutes into the show. I just want to know if Jennifer is back fully or she is not. Jennifer, you there? Okay, I can see her, but I can't hear. So I'd like to move to Roy. So next 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so, I'm gonna ask you about the investments. So what has changed in terms of investment mindset, investors' mindset? So are we seeing more investments? Is this place more crowded? And second would be my question about technology, because technology is a key at the moment for every single sector we can imagine, we can think of. So Roy, what kind of investment models are emerging during this pandemic, especially in this sector?
Right. So crowdfunding has been emerging since it started a few years ago, but recently it's spiking again due to the fact that the large VCs or the CVCs are taking a step back this year. They've decided to postpone their investments to next year, apart from companies they're already involved with, but there are no new seed rounds, or there are very few seed rounds. You can see a significant drop, about 70% in seed rounds in 2020, and that's just since March. So plenty of companies who want to raise seed, pre-seed, they're resorting to crowdfunding. Now, this is not a typical crowdfunding you're familiar with on Kickstarter for perks, but rather equity, so they're actually raising capital for stocks, for shareholding. And this is becoming quite common now, as well as second one we're seeing that happening, but in terms of the focus of these VCs, so it was edtech in 2015, and it became martech and fintech in 18, 19. But it seems that it sticked. Martech is a big deal now. Everybody's focused on conversion rate optimization, again, due to the fact that the marketing budgets are really dropping for the enterprises, and the SMBs are entering, and everybody needs solutions to increase the conversion rate so they could sell the same for a fraction of the cost. They want to increase the conversion rates, drop the acquisition cost, right? And for that, you need plenty of solutions to increase conversions. The majority of these solutions were reserved for enterprises. And now when you have so many SMBs, they couldn't utilize these solutions because they are too complex. They require APIs, SDKs, backend developers. And when someone just deploys a Shopify store, they don't know about these things, they can't utilize them. So we'll be seeing plenty of companies, like AdScale, for example. AdScale is a company that offers acquisition solutions. You could do PPC campaigns without any know-how on Google Ads or Bing Ads or whatever. It just adapts to your inventory, to your store, and creates a Google Ads campaign. It works as a plugin for Shopify, and it measures the results, and then you pay a fractional fee for that. So just like AdScale, we've created Tweak, which is an automated personalization solution. Again, you just click Add Up, scans your website, reorganizes, it serves each user with personalized experience, but that is being done whilst measuring the results, the revenue uplift, the conversion rate uplift. And these are the kind of solutions SMBs could use. The old solutions, the old school solutions, A/B testing, multivariate testing, working with a marketing automation integrator for analytics, or working with an agency for Google Ads, an expert, these will not be consumed by the SMBs, and the enterprises are spending about 30% less budget on them. So these shifts are happening now, and I think next year we'll be seeing that as the VCs, the larger VCs, family offices, smaller VCs, and angels are still investing, even though they've been hurt as well by this year's pandemic. But we'll be seeing the larger VCs probably focusing on these kind of solutions next year, just due to the fact that there's going to be so much more audience who wants to consume them. So I suppose this is going to be the focus, and this is still martech and fintech. So there isn't going to be a change in terms of the sectors. It's just going to increase the way I see it.
Right. Wow, that's great points, Roy. What about the technology stack? Do you think any particular technology? You mentioned about SaaS. What about AI solutions, blockchain-based solutions?
Right.
What's the appetite for those technology stacks?
Right. So in terms of blockchain solutions, we even discussed that in the previous session. Everybody mentioned ICOs, we said, as an initial coin offering, but not as the Information Commissioner Office, and all the changes that are occurring with the GDPR, CCPA, ICO compliancy. So plenty of new solutions are being developed for tracking, for targeting, for optimization. And I suppose we'll be seeing plenty of new technologies emerging to resolve this. Blockchain could be of a lot of help for companies developing such solutions without relying on external infrastructures. However, blockchain is not going to be the main focus. The main focus is going to be utilizations, how you could deploy services at a minimal, at a fraction of maintenance. You would not need to collaborate and so forth. So I think the focus is going to be on automations. Mainly everything related to this industry today is not automated. There's a whole title called marketing automation. We discussed that. There's nothing automated about it. It's an industry for enterprises. It requires a team coordinator, a UX expert, a backend developer, a data scientist, but it's called marketing automation because you do so much manual work in order to automate a process that you need to maintain, you need to monitor, so hopefully we'll be seeing more automated tools that aren't just called automated tools, but actually do automated stuff.
Okay, great insights. Marketing automation, and all those little things that you mentioned encapsulates that. That obviously VCs, as you said, VCs are going to be eyeing on those kind of technologies for investments. Thank you, Roy, for those insights. Bernard, you want to add something? You're raising your hand. Sorry.
Yeah, I have I agree with Roy, but I would like to make a very bold statement, is that in terms of marketing automation, on one hand, you have Google with SEO, SEM, which basically can cost a fortune. and you have no way today to minimize this cost because it's up to Google and there is no real alternative in the first place. And second, Google has the possibility to change its search engine rules at any time without telling anybody for whatever reason they deem suitable to their own interest. And that means that any investment you can make in that field can be totally ruined in a matter of minutes if they decide to change the rule. So this you have as a really strong backend problem in terms of changing the market. And as an investor, I will not invest in any of these solutions because I know that there is a major risk. Just ask the likes of Criteo what happened to them, or I don't even mention cookies. I won't invest, and many of my peers won't invest in this field because there are so many and so big uncertainties related to what the big guys will gonna do.
Okay, so if I may just respond to these two.
Sure.
So in terms of SCM, the solution I presented before, the company that works in Shopify, Edscale, they actually presented an automated solution for that. You can review that. We're not related to this company, but I'm quite happy to say that they have a brilliant solution. And it automates the SCM solution, or more like the PPC in that part. As far as it concerns to SEO, so these were never too expensive. This was considered as guerrilla marketing. You optimize the markup, you optimize the offsite activity, the link building, but there are no solutions for SEO. There are tools like WooRank or SEOMoz or Ahrefs that are designed to work as, again, data insights for manual work. There hasn't been an automated tool for SEO that was released yet, and this is considered as the holy grail of optimization. So no company has tackled it. But in terms of PPC, we are seeing new solutions emerging. In terms of marketing automation, which you mentioned, so I'm pleased to say that Tweak, our solution, is the first to offer automated integration for Google Analytics. And these are not the kind of events that break. Google Analytics actually, in order to integrate it on a website properly, to track it, to card buttons, registrations, and so forth, you would need an integrator to track the events within the code, to add the API and the SDK. And when you redesign a website with that solution, it breaks. Now, it's not something that is going to be deprecated soon by Google because they've just released it a few years ago and they've increased their documentation for that. There were no tools that automatically configure it, so whenever you redesign, it breaks. But because our solution currently runs on the front, and we created a business goals objectives detection engine as part of our solution, so we can identify all the goals within a funnel, the add to cart buttons, the checkouts, the registration forms. So when Tweak identifies these goals and it runs from the front simultaneously with Google Analytics, it has the ability to integrate analytics on your website. So it has the ability to write these events to Google Analytics. By doing this, we, with a single click of a button, finalize the marketing automation integration. But when you rewrite your website, it just adapts, nothing breaks. Now, we are currently partners with Google. We've been partnering, we partnered with them as a premium partner about 4 years ago. They send team leaders and VPs to speak at our events, and we're in great collaboration with them. And they're really focusing on supporting companies that develop these kind of solutions. Google have invested in our company in terms of infrastructure over $130,000 just over the past few months in actual cash. So they really want to push these kind of services forward, understanding that they offer the infrastructure, but it's too complex for everybody to deploy. So they're looking for companies to kind of take the AdWords API, the Google Ads API, and create things like AdScale, or take the analytics events and create an integration feature like Twix. And hopefully, as I mentioned, we'll be seeing more of these companies. I hope that by next year, you'll notice that this is becoming an actual solid industry and you'll feel more comfortable investing in it. But I think it's inevitable. I think as the SMBs are entering this arena, there will be no choice left because they will not be able to deal with the complex solutions. It's too complicated for them. Absolutely. That's, again, my opinion at the moment.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. We can take this kind of little, difference of opinion discussion later after the show.
Yeah,
I just want to ask one. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. I really appreciate, Roy. I mean, that's the whole point about this show. But I would like to know from an investment perspective, what are the best practices you would advise the startups for, especially looking for funding?
You're referring to me or Bernard?
Bernard, please. Bernard.
Yes.
It's always the same. Well, first, identify a market, identify a problem, provide a solution, make clear how you're going to address the market, be a team, and focus on execution.
Right.
Always this, and in the end, the only thing that matters is the team. I would say some very commonplace stuff like you can ruin the best project with the wrong team, but you can make a success of something lousy with a good team.
So it's a team, good team. So what kind of investment models are emerging or have emerged during this pandemic, as per you?
Well, clear for the seed round, crowdfunding is all over the place, and in many cases, I take the example in the sub 1 million amount of funding. The advice we give to startups is go to crowdfunding. First, it helps them get the money, and also it's a very good way to prove your concept, because you can find customers, you can find investors at the same time, and it's a very good first step. The next is if you go at the other end of the spectrum, you have the challenges of expansion, and in this case, I mean big money. It's 20, 30, 50 million. The good point is now you have access to more, to a better mix of equity and debt type of investments. And in most of the recent big announcements you've seen, well, the companies claimed, I don't know, 200 million something, but in the 200 million, there was probably only a fraction of that was pure equity, and the rest were diverse types of debt tools. So that's something that we see, because basically you have less capex to finance today when you expand in the digital world, but you have much more opex to finance, and so that gears towards less equity and more debt.
Interesting, very interesting. And Tim, in terms of investment in technology, as an investor, how much focus do you have on that side and technology side?
Well, it depends, but basically it's either technology oriented, or it's pure tech, or it's technology supported. So if you're in robotics, it's pure tech. If you're in a new DNVB, it's technology supported. So I can't answer this question. It has to be more specific. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Thank you so much for sharing those investment models to us, especially about debt financing. So thanks for that, Bernard. Really appreciate your insights. Hugo, I'd like to ask you about your sort of insights about what kind of investment models are emerging or have emerged. How technology.
I have to say that first of all, I would like to get back to what Bernard said concerning the vision of a perfect and my safe startup. I would just like to add another point. It's the perfect understanding of the market. I see so many startups with a really good team and a really good project. They have no idea of there is a competitor close by, and when they face investor experts in the domain where they're working in, they are not aware that the full range of competitors. So this is something the team need really to dig in the market, but really strongly. After, of course, the first step is the most important thing is the team, because without the team, forget it. Even the project is good, they will not be capable to deploy. It's exactly what I saw in blockchain ecosystem, by the way. The trend of the investment I see on my side, it's of course, most of the startups are getting in the crowdfunding, but sometimes it's not enough, because if you are talking about deep tech, the crowdfunding, some of the platform is between 100 to could be reach 1 million, but it's a minority. And the thing is, they need to knock at the door of the VC, the business angel, and so on, and they get back to the same problem. The friction of the long process to get funded, and that's the problem for the startup today, because as Roy said, with the COVID, they reduced the budget. But what they are doing, they are more focused on Series A or really mature company, means prove that you deployed, prove that you're already traction, prove that you're in a go-to-market, and we could discuss about the seed. And most of the time, what I see, it's all the startups are going to the crowdfunding because they think it's an easy way. But what I fear is gonna have a huge tremendous startup number in the platform, and it's gonna be really difficult for everybody to select the right startup because nobody has the competency to see which one is better or not. And as Bernard said, if you're talking about the retail, we're gonna have a new wave of a plug and play or other startups generation, and what the one's gonna succeed. Only one can remain, I might say, or two, but it's difficult to know who is gonna be the outsider. That's another problem. So this is, it's something that we need to be really careful with that. And of course, the trend is more on Series A, Series B, and even the VC that's supposed to normally, I know they wanted to put in the money in the seed. Now they are more in Series A. But and again, the trend depend more and more are agnostic. So they're really looking for the good mine gold, as I said, and there are a lot of are really focusing on retail and e-commerce because of the revolution of the end consumer behavior. And but it's not limited to that. But in many VC funds, that's what I'm seeing. And of course, we have all the stuff such as blockchain, but blockchain, a lot of are still far from it because they're waiting for the regulation. That's the point I would like to add based on the road explanation. The problem of when you talk about the crowdfunding, we all would be happy to see the security token offering completely deployed in crowdfunding. The problem was so far the quality of the project from the blockchain ecosystem and the regulation, and it's still a concern. Even if we have a lot of big companies such PayPal who want to implement the Bitcoin and so on, that's great things. We are still waiting for the regulation, and I'm sure that the blockchain technology, when it's going to be deployed and understood, that's the problem, the huge problem for that, is going to, I think, seriously support the crowdfunding stage. All the early stage company going to have more open space to get funded.
Right, thank you. Oh yeah, Bernard, go for it.
Yeah, I would like to stress something about blockchain. Blockchain for me can be one of the infrastructure breaks for e-commerce. The reason is that e-commerce also has to see with a field I'm getting familiar more and more every day, which is logistics, and it's a highly fragmented environment. It's very complicated. For instance, if you're shipping a pallet of goods from China down to Paris, to have a control of the documents or the temperature or the number of items, information about this. And blockchain can be very useful. So it's starting to make inroads into sectors which are very regulated, like pharmaceuticals or food. Because that's the only way it's a technology that's totally agnostic and neutral about all the technologies, the system, the platforms that all the stakeholders are using. And therefore, I'm not keen on blockchain as something related to Bitcoin because it has a kind of negative feeling, but basically it can be very useful in the infrastructure to make the whole systems work more, let's say, seamlessly than it does today. And if you want to eliminate some of the roadblocks towards the growth of e-commerce, the growth of new retail, you need to have this infrastructure in place. There's even a concept behind it called the physical internet. That means you can have the attributes of the internet, which is this open protocols concept, to be adapted to the physical infrastructure. That's where I want to invest.
Oh, fantastic. So blockchain startups, who are going to deploy blockchain, please, you just heard from Bernard where he's going to invest. Thank you so much, Bernard, for sharing those insights about the benefits of blockchain technology and separating it from Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin is not blockchain. It's a currency, and blockchain is a distributed ledger. So we're talking two different things over here. Thank you so much, Bernard, and thanks for emphasizing where you're going to invest. Jennifer seems to be back. Jennifer, are you back for good? Are you back really?
Yes, I'm back indeed. Sorry about the slight glitch there.
Continue
glitch in technology.
let's continue from where we lost you, please.
Yes, we were talking about, I think, the recent pivots. And I spoke about the luxury brands and what they're doing in terms of going into protective, apparel for the healthcare workers. Because what it's all about now is it's not so much being a big brand, but it's how people are going to remember you, how the consumer is going to be remembering you during these difficult times. And it's trying to keep your reputation, being part of social causes, as well as trying to maintain customer loyalty. We've seen the banks as well do some pivots in that they're issuing a lot of these contactless cards where you don't have to type in the chip and pin code anymore. And then we've seen some grocery stores as well. In the past, they used to have these handheld gadgets in the store where you can scan, bag your stuff and pay, but apparently it was felt that these handheld gadgets were very difficult to clean. And because of COVID, what the supermarkets, grocery stores have done is they've pivoted whereby the consumer can scan his merchandise from the stores, but he can pay on his phone. You can use Apple Pay or Google Pay. They don't even have to join the long queues and check out. So these are some of the pivots that I'm seeing and has been witnessed in this region.
Excellent, Jennifer. Thank you for sharing those insights and welcome back to on the show. Okay, so we just have a few more minutes before we close down. Roy, I'd like to ask you about your closing remarks for the show tonight on the topic, because you really good insights coming from you. So just want to know what's your remarks before we close.
Right, so just to add up on one of the topics we discussed, crowdfunding. It used to be, in regards to what Hugo said, that the conservative VCs saw crowdfunding as some kind of a foul. If you went there, that means you haven't been able to raise capital from the VCs or the angels. That's why you resort there. And nowadays, there are still certain VCs who sees it this way, but this view is changing. We see it gradually shifting as the crowdfunding platforms shifted from perks to equity, and the corona hit and it became more popular. We still sit with angels and VCs and so forth, and we hear these remarks every now and again, but there's also a recognition that this is actually the better path for pre-seed startups nowadays, when they want to start, kick off their companies without having all these milestones which are being posed by the VCs, and a better way to start to kick off, as they're not as experienced as a serial entrepreneur, and they don't know how to do the negotiation properly, and therefore the VCs typically pose milestones that would never be achieved, and then the entrepreneur needs to give away more than he was planning to in the beginning. Also, it takes a long time of negotiation. So we're seeing that this shift is actually quite positive, and plenty of startups, good ones, are managing to raise capital for the same reason Bernard mentioned. It is a validation. It's a social validation. Just if you know that there are so many investors, decent investors willing to put money on a crowdfund, this means it'll probably pick up the interest of clients, potential customers. So this has become a valid solution in my eyes. We see plenty of good companies who are emerging from crowdfunding nowadays that are actually going through a Series A, B, and are becoming profitable. And it's not just a fraction. It used to be a fraction. It used to be really the remaining of whatever didn't work. These were the ones you would have found on Kickstarter. But nowadays, startups are actually skipping the conservative part of VCs, and they go straight into crowdfunding just as a choice, because they retain the company really. They can do whatever they think is best for their company before validating their model and heading towards Series A.
Great, great insights, Roy. Sorry, I'm just conscious of the time. Thank you so much for, early stage startups prefer crowdfunding platforms as opposed to VCTV. And you've explained it very nicely, the reason why. So what's your feedback about VCTV, Roy?
Well, as usual, it's brilliant. It's very nice to meet new people every session. It's quite interesting to hear the different views from around the globe. And I always get the latest updates about quarantines and COVID and which countries are going red or green. So it's also like a news flash for me. So thank you for that. And really, thank you for inviting us, and hopefully we'll be seeing you again.
Absolutely. I'm going to have you more on our shows. Thank you, Roy, for your time today. Bernard, what's your closing remarks for the session today?
Well, first, thank you for inviting me again. One thing in terms of investment, I need to stress that most funds or today care about, let's say, the survival of their portfolio companies. So that means most of the resources of the existing funds are devoted to helping the portfolio survive. Of course, we can look at new deals, but that's only on the fringe. On the other hand, luckily, most funds have collected funds lately. So the new funds, they have a big problem where to invest their money. So in these cases, there is an opportunity. So it's very, let's say, very clear difference between existing funds and new funds. And new funds bring new opportunities. And that's where any company seeking to raise money should go in the first place. Existing funds, I would not say you're losing your time, but it's an uphill battle in most cases.
Excellent. Great insights, Bernard, for those startups who are watching us today. Thank you so much. And what's your feedback about VCTV?
Well, I enjoy it every time I'm here. It's a nice collection of people with diverse opinions, and we can have a polite discussions while sometimes being in disagreement. So that's good. That's the essence of that debate.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you for that feedback. Really appreciate your time again, and I'm definitely going to have you again on our show. Hugo, what's your closing remarks for the session?
Well, it's as usual great. My second time that I like it because, as Bernard said, it's a great place to debate. You can exchange with people from all over the world, and you can learn from the others and each others, and after you can connect after, depending if there is a potential business to do also, you never know. And I like it. It's my second time, but it's really rich in terms of exchange. So keep it up.
Thank you, Hugo. And obviously, I'm going to have you back on our show. Thank you so much. Jennifer, what are your closing remarks of the day?
My closing remarks is a great show, and I do apologize to you and the audience for the slight glitch in technology. I think for the retail sector, the important thing that has to be remembered is that the investment in technology is a must, and also data. The data helps to understand the consumer behaviors so that the businesses can adapt accordingly. And then artificial intelligence also helps as to how the e-commerce space is working. But also businesses need to invest in technology in order to have that connection and communication with their consumers. But for the 50% of consumers globally, unless a vaccine is found, the current status quo is going to stay. They're not likely to go back to the pre-COVID behaviors. So e-commerce, online purchasing, and digital is going to be prevalent for a long time to come. And those companies that don't pivot or aren't able to pivot, unfortunately, are going to find themselves swiped away throughout this pandemic.
Absolutely.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jennifer. We always love to have you back on VCTV. Great insights coming from the Middle East region from you, Jennifer. Thank you so much today, Bernard, for the first time on Asia VCTV episode. Hugo again, and Roy, as always, great insights. And Jennifer, again, a friend of VCTV, I would say. Thank you so much. The whole idea about VCTV is getting these insights, this information from you all. And as I always say, VCTV is VCTV because of you, because you bring this knowledge to the table, you share with our audience, you share with other speakers. This is an opportunity for founders to reach out to you, the startups to reach out to you and make that connection. Similarly, it's an opportunity for other investors to network, build a community of investors, be it a debate, be it a discussion. We can always take it online. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Please take care of yourself, stay safe, and let's stay connected and connect back again on another show of VCTV. I'm just conscious of the time. We run this show Monday to Friday on different topics, and we hope to see you again. And take care and have a good evening.